In the quiet town of Amityville, New York, nestled along the south shore of Long Island, stood a large Dutch colonial house at 112 Ocean Avenue. Its white facade and distinctive gambrel roof gave it a picturesque appearance, belying the horrors that had unfolded within its walls. This house would become infamous as the site of one of the most chilling true crime stories in American history, inspiring books, films, and endless speculation. On November 13th, 1974, the tranquility of Amityville was shattered when 23-year-old Ronald DeFeo Jr. brutally murdered his entire family. His parents, Ronald Sr. and Louise, and his 4 siblings, Dawn, Allison, Mark, and John Matthew, each was shot with a .35 caliber rifle as they lay in their beds, the shots ringing out in the dead of night. Strangely, there were no signs of struggle, and neighbours reported hearing no gunshots, leading to questions that remain unanswered to this day. DeFeo initially claimed he had discovered the murders upon returning home, but his story quickly unravelled under police scrutiny. He confessed to the killings, stating that voices in the house had urged him to commit the heinous acts. During his trial, the defense attempted an insanity plea, citing DeFeo's claims of hearing demonic voices. However, the prosecution argued he was fully aware of his actions, and on November 21st, 1975, DeFeo was found guilty on 6 counts of second-degree murder and sentenced to 6 consecutive life sentences. Just over a year later, in December 1975, George and Kathy Lutz purchased the house at a significantly reduced price. Aware of its gruesome history, they moved in with their 3 children, hoping to start anew. However, their dream home quickly turned into a nightmare. From the moment they moved in, the Lutz family reported a series of terrifying and inexplicable events. Doors and windows would open and close on their own, foul odours permeated the air, and cold spots appeared throughout the house. George claimed to wake up at 3:15 a.m. every night, the exact time the DeFeo murders were believed to have occurred. Kathy experienced vivid nightmares about the murders, and the children began sleeping face down, mirroring the position in which the DeFeo bodies were found. The family also reported more sinister phenomena: green slime oozing from the walls, a demonic pig-like creature with glowing red eyes, and unseen forces lifting Kathy off the bed. A priest who came to bless the house allegedly heard a voice scream, "Get out!" and was later plagued by mysterious illnesses. After just 28 days, the Lutz family fled the house, leaving their belongings behind. Their harrowing experiences were later chronicled in Jay Anson's 1977 book, The Amityville Horror, which became a bestseller and spawned a series of films. While the Lutz family's account captivated the public, it also drew skepticism. Investigations revealed inconsistencies in their story, and some suggested it was a hoax concocted for financial gain. William Weber, DeFeo's defense attorney, claimed he and the Lutzes had discussed creating a horror story to profit from the house's notoriety. However, the Lutzes denied these allegations, maintaining that their experiences were genuine. Subsequent owners of the house reported no paranormal activity, further fueling doubts about the Lutzes' claims. Despite this, the legend of the Amityville Horror endures, a chilling tale that blurs the line between fact and fiction. The Amityville house remains one of the most infamous haunted houses in America. Its story has been retold in numerous books, documentaries and films, each adding new layers to the legend. Whether viewed as a genuine haunting or an elaborate hoax, the tale of 112 Ocean Avenue continues to fascinate and terrify, a testament to the enduring power of true crime and the supernatural in the American imagination. February 1959. In the cold, desolate wilderness of the Ural Mountains, 9 experienced Soviet hikers ventured into the icy unknown. All were students or graduates of the Ural Polytechnic Institute, young and strong, hardened by the Russian winters. Led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, the group had planned a rigorous but rewarding ski trek through the northern Urals. What they found instead was something darker than cold, older than the forest, and hidden beneath the snow. They never made it back. What was eventually discovered still puzzles experts, unnerves investigators, and terrifies those who look too closely. When the group failed to return by their expected date, February 12th, no one panicked at first. Delays were common in such extreme expeditions, but days turned into a week, then 2. The families demanded action. A search party was launched on February 20th. What they found was not simply a tragedy, but a horror story written in ice and blood. The first discovery was the group's tent, found partially collapsed on a snowy slope called Kholat Syachel, a name given by the local Mansi tribes. It means dead mountain. The tent had been slashed open from the inside, not unzipped, not torn by wind, cut from within. Personal belongings were scattered as though people had fled in a panic. Even stranger, most had left barefoot or in socks, wearing only thin sleeping garments, despite the minus 30 degrees Celsius temperatures. It was as if something had terrified them so much that they ran out into the deathly cold, abandoning all reason. The first 2 bodies, Yuri Krivonishenko and Georgy Doroshenko, were found under a cedar tree, side by side, barefoot and stripped to their underwear. Their hands were shredded, as if they'd tried desperately to climb the tree, either to escape something or to look for something. Nearby, a third body, Igor Dyatlov himself, face frozen in grim determination. He was heading back towards the tent. Then came Zenaida Kolmogorova, also attempting to return to the tent. And fifth, Rustem Slobodin, found face down in the snow with a fractured skull. Not enough to kill him instantly, but enough to cause confusion and pain. Those 5 died of hypothermia, that was clear. But the last 4, they told a different story. 2 months passed before searchers found the remaining 4 hikers in a ravine deeper into the woods, beneath 13 feet of snow. And that's when things stopped making sense. Lyudmila Dubinina was missing her tongue. Her eyes had been gouged out. Her lips were gone. Her body was twisted, locked in an expression of frozen agony. Alexander Kolovatov and Semyon Zolotaryov both had massive chest fractures, equivalent, one expert said, to the force of a car crash. Yet, there were no external wounds, no bruising, no torn clothing, just bones crushed from within. Nikolai Thibault Brignol's skull was shattered, again, with no external trauma. All of them had radioactivity on their clothing. The Soviet government launched an investigation, but quickly sealed the files. The official explanation was vague, a compelling natural force. Rumours swirled, avalanche, but the tent was still standing. a snow slab collapse? Then why the crushing injuries to some and not others? And why the missing tongue? Why radioactive clothing? The Mansi tribes whispered old stories about the Menk, forest spirits, ancient beings who stalk the peaks and punish those who wander too far. Others spoke of military experiments, secret parachute mines, sonic weapons, chemical tests, but none explained why the hikers ran barefoot into the night, or why they cut their way out, or what they thought they were fleeing. Among the snow-crusted gear, searchers found the group's journals and a camera. Their final entry, scrawled in the frozen dark, read, "It is hard to imagine such a comfort on the ridge, with shrieking wind and dark spirits all around. We are no longer alone in the night." Some claim an undeveloped photo from the last roll of film shows a blurry humanoid figure standing between the trees. The Soviets dismissed it, but they also shut down access to the area for years. Why? In 2019, a Swiss avalanche study suggested a small slab avalanche might explain some of the trauma, yet critics argue this ignores key facts. No snow piled over the tent, bodies found in different areas, no sign of panic before the final moment, only after. More chilling, in 2021, hikers revisiting the site reported hearing inexplicable screams in the wind at night. They left early, shaken and silent. To this day, Kholat Syakhl draws curiosity seekers, ghost hunters, and paranormal investigators. Some claim to feel watched. Others say electronic devices fail there. One hiker, who camped near the site in 2023, reported waking up to see a series of prints around his tent. Bare feet, in the snow. What happened on that slope remains one of the greatest mysteries of the 20th century. Some say it was the elements, others a military cover-up. A few whisper that the hikers trespassed into a place that does not tolerate human presence, not merely cursed ground, not merely haunted, but alive, with something that remembers and waits. The Dyatlov Pass incident is no campfire story. It happened. It was real. And the evidence, if anything, is more terrifying than the legends, because we may never know the truth. And maybe we're not meant to. There are places where death lingers, not like a ghost, but like a disease. Waverly Hills Sanatorium is one of them. In the early 20th century, tuberculosis ravaged the American population. In Louisville, Kentucky, an epicenter of the outbreak, the Waverly Hills Sanatorium was built to isolate the infected. It stood like a fortress on a hill, surrounded by thick trees and shrouded in permanent mist. At its peak, the facility housed over 400 patients, many left in body bags, but some never left at all. Of all the dark places in Waverly Hills, none is more infamous than room 502. It was supposed to be the head nurse's office, a place of care and control, but in 1928, something went terribly wrong. The head nurse, a young woman named Mary, was found hanging from the light fixture in that room. It was ruled a suicide. She was unmarried and pregnant, an unthinkable scandal for a woman in her position. Rumours swirled that the father was a doctor, that he abandoned her, that he convinced her to take her own life. 2 years later, another nurse, unnamed in official records, threw herself from the balcony of the same floor. No one knows why, but staff began to refuse assignments on the 5th floor. Patients reported strange whispers through the vents at night, screaming that would echo between the walls, and sometimes they'd see her, the nurse in the old-fashioned uniform, standing silently at the edge of the hall, staring. Claire B., a newly graduated RN, took a job on a film crew for a paranormal documentary about Waverly Hills. She wasn't into ghosts. She was there for the paycheck. Her job was to assist the crew's medical consultant in making sure the historical information was accurate. But Claire didn't realise that something was waiting for her in room 502. On the second night of filming, the crew set up infrared cameras in the upper floors. Most of the team stayed in the base camp, but Claire, fascinated by the layout of the hospital, wandered off to explore. She climbed the concrete stairs alone. Dust swirled around her flashlight beam. Paint peeled like dead skin from the walls. Vines twisted through shattered windows. When she reached the 5th floor, she felt it instantly. The air was wrong, heavy, like walking into a deep underwater current. The door to room 502 was ajar, drawn by some mixture of morbid curiosity and nerves. She stepped inside. The room was empty. Rotting bed frame, rusted equipment, a broken mirror covered in grime. And then she saw the writing. On the wall, scrawled in faded red, someone had written, "She never stopped screaming." Claire's stomach twisted. She stepped closer. Was it blood? That's when her radio crackled. A voice, her own team, hissed, "Claire, are you okay?" She reached to respond, but the moment her hand touched the radio, it died. Then silence. And then footsteps in the hallway behind her, slow, deliberate, like the echo of someone wearing stiff shoes on tile. "Hello," she called. No answer. She peeked out into the corridor. Nothing. But the moment she turned back, she saw her. A woman in a nurse's uniform, hanging from the ceiling, face slack, tongue dark, swinging in a slow arc. Claire screamed, but in her mind, the scream didn't sound like hers. It sounded like a chorus, hundreds of voices, layered, suffocating, shrill and mechanical. She ran. Claire didn't tell the crew at first. She claimed she had tripped and twisted her ankle, but that night she had terrible dreams. She woke up in the hotel bathtub, water running, fully clothed. She had no memory of getting there. She began seeing things in the corner of her eyes, a flash of white, always at shoulder height, a nurse's cap, and always that feeling of being watched. Then came the voice, at first, only once. Lying in bed, half asleep, she heard it in her ear, like someone kneeling beside her. "Don't leave me here." Claire became obsessed with room 502. She returned to Waverly Hills on her own months after the filming ended. She wanted to face it. That's what she told herself. She brought a small recorder and spent the night on the 5th floor. The audio was later recovered by a local paranormal investigator. The last few minutes are bone-chilling. Footsteps. Claire's voice, distant and thin. "Tell me what happened to you." A long silence, then faint, overlapping whispers, impossible to decipher, like a radio picking up 100 stations at once. Then a voice, clear, female, close to the microphone. "You let them cut it out of me." Claire was never seen again. Her car was found in the parking lot, her recorder placed neatly on the passenger seat. Room 502 had no sign of entry, but on the mirror, newly smeared in dust, were the words, "She came back." In the years since, multiple visitors have reported seeing the nurse in room 502. Some say they hear crying. Others describe being touched, lightly, like a hand on the back of the neck. One man was found collapsed at the top of the stairwell. He had a broken wrist and deep scratches on his arms. He claimed he'd been pushed by a woman who told him, "It's your fault." No one knows what that meant. The room is now sealed off, but that doesn't stop thrill seekers. In 2013, a YouTube ghost hunter broke in and live-streamed from 502. About 12 minutes into the video, his face goes pale. He starts shouting, not at the camera, but at something above him. The feed cuts out. His body was found 2 days later at the bottom of the death chute, the tunnel once used to remove the dead from the building without alarming the patients. His fingernails were torn off, embedded in the concrete walls. He had tried to climb his way out. Some historians argue that the story is exaggerated, that Mary the nurse did hang herself. But from grief, not anything supernatural. But the records are sealed. Some pages are redacted. One document refers cryptically to experimental fetal interventions conducted under a doctor, L.M. Holden, a doctor whose name appears nowhere else in Waverly's records. Was Mary pregnant by this doctor? Was she forced into something medical? We may never know. Waverly Hills now offers guided tours, even overnight stays for the bold. But the guides will warn you, do not provoke room 502. Do not speak the nurse's name aloud. Some say it's Mary, others say it's Elizabeth. And if you hear someone whisper, "Help me," don't answer. Because she doesn't want help. She wants you to stay.